Sri Sriman Sanatana AC Indradyumna Swami Now Sriman Maribuchitachaya Sri Sriman Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj Matagori Vaishnava Amchara Shri Krishna Principal Holy Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Gopina, Shanti, Malaki, Viyoga, Shri Bhajapuri, Shri Navana, Navik Mahapradavaki, Gamya Maiki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Tosima Ki, Iskan Vidivana Chara Seva Bhakti Ki, Vrinda Bhanga Shankitanya Ki, Shri Radha Ki, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Good afternoon to all of you two devotees who are happy to be back in your association. This visit to the United Kingdom, no one ever says that, that's the UK, to Great Britain, United Kingdom, England. This is quite a little spontaneous. We were here, I don't know, was it May? Yep. And so it's just a hospital trip across the Great Pond. And we're back again because we are planning to spend more time in England.
Haribo!
As if you didn't already know. In the material world, bad news
travels faster than good news. But in the spiritual world, good news travels faster than bad news, because there's no bad news. So for some time I wanted to expand our festival program, particularly in Poland, where, as you know, most of the time we're doing our festivals in Poland. We've been to Brazil, we've been to America, we've been to Australia, a few other places. I wanted to give devotees in different countries an opportunity to see what we do and hope they can replicate it. Because I'm a firm believer in Prabhupada's statements about culture. He said, well, one time he said, we'll take the world over by culture. And then he paraphrased, he said, cultural conquest. Because you could say that each country's culture is the best they have to offer the world. The art, the music, the dance, the theater, the culinary, the kitchen. You know, people in England, they go to France, not to experience England, but to experience French culture. Les Eiffel Tower, the Champs-Élysées, the Louvre. And people in France come to see Big Ben. Well, there's so many historic things to see. And while you're in London, you go to the West End. And when you're in Australia, you go to the beaches. And every country has something to offer. And our country is not even India. We talk about Festival of India. It's not Festival of India. It's Festival of the spiritual world. It's Festival of Goloka, Vrindavan specifically. And although it may have appeared in India, it's not Indian. If there's anything closer to the spiritual world, it's the way that in Vedic times people dressed, dhotis and saris, and tilled the land with their oxen, and bathed in pure rivers, and spoke Sanskrit, and discussed the Bhagavad Gita, etc. That's the culture of the spiritual world. So what we're actually introducing is the culture of the spiritual world. So therefore, with due respect to other cultures in the world, this is the original culture of a living entity. To be at home with Krishna in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan. Actually, that planet, that topmost planet in the spiritual world, is very unique. Because there's many planets in the spiritual world. Ad infinitum, you can't even count them, because as far as you think, there's something after that. And as far as you think that, there's something after that. So ad infinitum. Spiritual world goes on forever. But for all practical purposes, there's a topmost planet. It's called Goloka. Jiva Goswami describes it aptly, because go can mean many things. It can mean senses, it can mean mother cow. So he chooses to call it the planet of the cows. Prabhu's, that's our destination. We speak to a Christian, they want to go to heaven. Similarly, our Muslim brothers and sisters, they refer to a stratosphere, a heaven. They ask us sometimes, what is your goal? I say, we want to go to the planet of cows. Because they're not ordinary cows. They're Surabhi cows. Prabhupada said the cows on this planet are cousins of the original Surabhi cows. The spiritual world. They're all fully enlightened souls. Everything in the spiritual world is conscious, even the land. The land is the dust, Brajrenu. And you pray to Brajrenu for residence in Vrindavan. The trees are all fully enlightened souls. They're saintly persons who prefer to give their shade to Krishna. They prefer to give anything a devotee wants in service to Krishna. From a Kalpavriksha tree, you can get fruits, flowers, you can get artik trays, you can get incense, you can get camphor, you can get some petals to offer to your parents. Anything that you want in the spiritual world, desire trees are there. So therefore, we consider it, well, we consider the spiritual world in general, all the planets, as the official kingdom of God. But in Vrindavan, where Krishna is very easily accessible, and you can wrestle with him in the sands of Anumerti. You can dance with him under the moonlight of the autumn moon, the Rasa Lila. Or you can consider him your darling one. We call that special abode the playground of God. Playground of God. So this is the culture that we're actually spreading around the world. And therefore, we are very determined to give everyone an opportunity to see what it's like, to experience what it's like in the spiritual world. When we do our festivals, okay, Festival of India, we do that festival in the mood of giving the people the experience. It's unique. It's of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a preamble in the American Constitution. When people come to our festival, we're in the background. We're behind the tables, we're in the tents. At best, we're performing on the stage. But we give them the opportunity to walk around and experience the spiritual atmosphere of Goloka Vrindavan. Generally, when we have our festivals amongst ourselves, like Janmashtami, Vadastami, Lord Sringadeva's appearance day, all those different festivals, which all kind of bound up tight in our temples, and we're speaking these deeper glories of the Lord's incarnations, and we're having these fantastic feasts, and we're chanting and dancing wildly. Kind of our beautiful deities, we celebrate like that. That's to give us inspiration, so that we can share this wonderful process with others. But in my concept of festivals, it's for the people. You can see if you come to a devotee festival, it's just devotees. But if you come to what I would consider like a Krishna conscious festival, you just see people wandering around. We give them the experience. When I travel in India, I spend 6 months a year in India, or 7 months in India. Wherever I go, I ask the people, the ladies in the audience after my lecture, they say, Maharaj, give me blessings. I said, then give me your sari. And give me some of your home saris. Love's reciprocal. Maharaj, give me blessings. Give me 5 your favorite saris at home. Go home and get them. What's this monk collecting saris for? Shankaracharya did not collect saris from the ladies, but Yukta Vairagya. This is renunciation of the Lord of Krishna. We collect about how many saris each year, Rasika?
Like 10,000.
10,000.
Haribo.
Ladies? You give your best. We collect maybe 10 or 15,000 saris. And then we have a booth, we have a tent, it's called Spiritual Fashions. So anyone who comes, any ladies come, we direct them to that tent and we dress them. We have like a rainbow of the colorful sari. We say, pick your favorite color. And these ladies will dress you in the sari. Then you can go to the next tent, which is
Makeup. Gopi dots.
Gopi dots.
No?
Maquillage.
Restaurant?
Maquillage spiritual. Spiritual. And, I don't know because I don't go there and Gopi dots, I don't know what they call it. But, the girls are becoming quite expert now. In the old days, they just put the white dots like this. But some of our ladies are quite talented and they began almost like you're dressing a deity or something like that. So the people, they get that experience of the dress, etc. And then there's the restaurant, and it's not pizza and vegetarian burgers and French fries. It's from Yamuna Devi's cookbook. This is one of my, we call that in America pet peeves. It's the same to have pet peeves. That we have the most delicious, tasteful, and healthy food in the universe, in the creation. We are meant to eat like the residents of Goloka Vrindavan. the kind of food that Krishna likes. We're trying to develop a taste for Krishna consciousness, so what is dear to him is dear to us, so we never hear Krishna's eating all these stuff. I'm not against it from time to time, but Mother Jamuna, bless her soul, she spent many years preparing that cookbook, learning the different recipes in South India, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh, and Bengal, and UP, and put them all together in this, her wonderful book. What's the actual title? Anyone remember, ladies?
Yamuna's table.
Lord Krishna's cuisine.
Krishna's cuisine.
And Yamuna's table.
See, we don't even know. But those are the recipes that Prabhupada trained her with. She would cook for Prabhupada, so he would train her.
The art of Indian vegetarian cooking.
The art of Indian vegetarian cooking. It should be like in every lady's kitchen. It should be worn, like sometimes you see books that have been read many times. It should be so worn, you have to look at the pages very carefully because it's smeared a little bit with some ghee or some sugar preparation or something. These are the preparations. I'm convinced that if we learn to cook that prasadam very nicely, that we could conquer the tongues of the world. The spiritual life begins by controlling the tongue. You take remnants of Krishna's food, prasadam is extremely purifying, and with your tongue you glorify the Supreme Lord. That's the best way to control the senses. Prasadam is very, very powerful. We're not meant to just sit down and eat, we're meant to honor the remnants of Krishna's prasadam. I saw Prabhupada on many occasions. He would always generally eat alone, and he'd eat the prasadam. He'd say the prayer, then with great awe and veneration, he'd take the preparation. And he ate very slowly, honoring Krishna's remnants. We don't live to eat, we eat to live and nourish our spiritual life. So we know prasadam's a powerful weapon. Lord Chaitanya called it a secret weapon, but we should learn the culinary art of the planet of the cows, of Goloka Vrindavan. We ourselves have to remind ourselves from time to time, this is our tradition, we're sharing our tradition with the world. Part of our tradition is, like Lord Chaitanya, you hear him eating in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very profound. Shiva Maharaj told me that he's read Chaitanya Charitamrita numerous times. Shiva Swami, numerous times. And we asked him, Maharaj, after reading Chaitanya Charitamrita so many times, what's the thing that impressed you? What's the thing that last? What is the thing that impressed you the most? Of all your readings, share with us some realization or some pastime. What do you always remember when reading Chaitanya Charitamrita? He said, I always remember how many times Lord Chaitanya took prasadam. Once Ramanujacharya, the Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya, in Sri Rangam, Ranganath, the beautiful deity, lying down with Lakshmi Devi massaging his feet. There's actually 3 altars. One big altar, one altar with 3 views. You see his head, his torso, and his feet. The deity is so big. Amazing deity. So one time, Ramanujacharya he had some of the Mahaprasadam from that deity. And he went with his disciples to the Kaveri River, like in Vrindavan we have the Jamuna, in Mayapur we have the Ganges. So one very sacred river is the Kaveri River. In Ramanujacharya's very famous pastime, he was with his disciples and they were taking prasadam, and so Pashandis come, means offenders. The greatest offenders are the Mayavadis, who deny the existence of God, like atheists. So it's a group of them, Brahmanas with big threads and shaved heads, and they're coming along, and they made fun of Ramanujacharya. They say, these Vaishnavas, they say that food is spiritual. Anyone can see. It's material. You can squeeze it and the juice comes out. It's not spiritual, it's material. These foolish Vaishnavas. So Ramanujacharya took some Sabji took a bite like this, and he threw it in the river. When he threw it in the river, have you ever done that? When you were a child, you throw something into the river for the fish to eat, feed the fish. You go to the zoo, you feed the fish. So he threw that prasad into the river, and 6 or 8 fish came and ate it, and immediately they assumed their eternal Vaikuntha forms. 4 arms, glowing like the sun, dressed in those beautiful yellow and golden outfits with beautiful garlands, their eyes, beautiful lotus eyes going all the way to their ears, shining beautiful black hair tied there in the knot. These fish immediately assumed or reawoke their original spiritual forms. They rose out of the water. So when those Prashandis saw that, how foolish they'd been, and the offense that they'd committed to a great acharya, they all came and paid dandavats to Ramanujacharya and asked to be his disciples. That was a quick bhakti course. Just one instance they were committed, and he accepted them. So that's part of our festival program as well. Mass distribution of prasadam is also very important, but let people taste refined prasad, those original recipes, prepared with love, extra cooked with love and devotion. That's also a way to impress people, give people the impression of what is the spiritual world, what is Krishna consciousness. And when we advertise our festivals, oh my gosh, you've been, many of you, there's 2 lines, synchronized dancing, ladies in front, beautiful gopi dots, fans. Every time Govinda sees one of my photos, those ladies always have fans. And synchronized, everyone dressed, beautiful tilak, incense billowing, beautiful music. This attracts people. We just came from Macedonia. Macedonia is a landlocked country, bounded by Albania, Romania, Serbia, all these Baltic states. They're kind of a dry environment, but at present, about 2 million people. There's Macedonians, there's Albanians, there's Gypsies, and there's Turks. The kind of melting pot of cultures. It's interesting, somehow, although they're different, they even have different religions. Macedonia is famous for its religious tolerance. I didn't know that. I didn't know the mood of the people. We started a Harinam party 2 weeks ago through the town, through the Muslim area, through the Christian area, through these different areas, and to advertise our festival. We did a big festival in Skopje, Macedonia. Skopje. How many of you have been to Skopje? Okay. The amazing thing was that as soon as the kirtan started, it's like bees going to honey. It was amazing. All the people came and started dancing with us. The Turks, the Albanians, the Gypsies, Macedonians, they were all dancing. And I was standing back thinking, how is this? This is the United Nations of the spiritual world. So that kirtan was, because we presented it in a very attractive way. And when we had the festival the next day, hundreds and hundreds of people came, even ministers came. We put on a 2.5-hour show like that. So by presenting our culture, as we say in French, tel quel est, as it is, like we talk about Bhagavad Gita, as it is. I'm a traditionalist. I believe very strongly that we have the best philosophy, we have the best dress, we have the best food, we have the best association, we have the best song, and we have the best goal. Param Gati means the goal of life. We should never be shy or embarrassed to share it with others. Granted, not everyone's going to accept. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, there's that famous verse, upon hearing the chanting of the holy names, the devotees are gladdened, but the asuras, the demons, they flee here and there. They can't stand that. So we have to understand there's always 2 kinds of people in this world, the divine and the demoniac. So it's not that everyone's going to embrace this, but nowadays I think the world's ready for Krishna consciousness. Why? Because the real face, material nature showing its real face, struggle for existence, the human race, the only hope, your divine grace. They're experiencing what it really is like, this material energy. The world of duality, but the moments in the history of this world is getting worse and worse and worse. So, in contrast, when they see devotees, they read our books, they taste our food, when they come to our temples, when they come to our farms, they see how we're protecting the cows, etc., etc. That contrast will melt their hearts. So Krishna, not only Bhagavad Gita as it is, but everything Krishna conscious as it is. Of course, for work and for various duties, we have to dress differently. Sometimes we have to eat differently because, well, it's late at night, the temple's closed, but the Pizza Hut's still open. So like that, and we have to be careful not to water down our tradition because it's so beautiful, so attractive. And the most attractive thing is that devotees are always jolly. Prabhupada said, of course, devotees should always have a good eye and a bad eye. So they ask them, what does that mean? Prabhupada says you have to see the positive opportunities for living a Krishna conscious lifestyle and preaching a Krishna conscious lifestyle. But you also have to see with one eye the bad eye, the reality of the material world, how it's a dangerous place, how we're atmas in transit, how we're strangers in a strange land. So you have to have these two views, but generally because we know who we are, and we know where we're going, we're enlightened by the mercy of the 6 Goswamis to learn about Goloka Vrindavan, we're jolly. Just like one of my godbrothers, Sridhar Maharaj, I don't think, well maybe some of you remember him, he passed away so many years ago, but he was from Canada, but he received sannyas from Sri Prabhupada. He was very instrumental in establishing Krishna consciousness in different parts of the world. I considered him always senior to me. He was senior to me. I was a sannyasi, he was also a bit more advanced. And but through trial and tribulation, heat and cold, happiness and distress, he was always happy. So he got the nickname, the Jolly Swami. The Jolly Swami. I was always impressed on any difficult situation he remained. Not only equilibrium was there, but he just always had a smile on his face because he knew that things in this world are temporary and we have to tolerate, but we're on our way home. Maybe slow but steady wins the race. Maybe everyone has their own evolution. We're all works in progress, but I often say just to be 1 inch, if you're drowning in the ocean and someone pulls you up 1 inch over the water, you're saved. You may not be back in the boat, you may not be back in dry land back at home, but 1 inch above the water from drowning, you're saved. There's that famous prayer from Padavale, I've quoted a million times. My dear Lord, I'm drowning in this fathomless whirlpool of material existence. O you who give shelter to the shelterless, please, just this one time, extend your hand to save me. So by practicing Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said the first symptom of really practicing Krishna consciousness is you become greatly relieved from the miseries of material life, because you're no longer in contact with those things which cause miseries, like meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex and gambling. Just by doing that, you detach yourself from so much suffering. And what's more, you're in contact with the reservoir of all pleasure. He's dancing on the tip of your tongue, Krishna, when you're chanting. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Some months ago I gave a lecture and I used that analogy, that metaphor that our spiritual master said, when you're chanting the holy names of Krishna, Kali Kali Nam Rup Krishna Avatar, that holy name is the incarnation of the Lord in the age of Kali. That's one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. When you're chanting, Krishna is dancing on the tip of your tongue. So I use that in my class. And one young man, maybe in his late 20s or 30s, after I said that, he got up and he walked out and went into the men's room. And then he came back, and I asked for questions at the end. He said, Swamiji, you said that if I chant Hare Krishna, Krishna or God would dance on the tip of my tongue. So I went to the bathroom and I chanted Hare Krishna, stuck my tongue out. There was no Krishna. So I said it's a metaphor. It's an analogy. Sometimes analogies are required to understand deeper philosophical subject matter. I said, but you'll experience in the form of the highest pleasure. And how do we come free from our material attachments in the world, this world which has bound us to material existence, life after life? Janaka Pandit says you can only give up something if you get something better. And we're fortunate because we have the best of the best. Recently I've been sharing that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes in one of his writings that within the chanting of Hare Krishna are all the Vrindavan pastimes of the Lord, are all the personalities with whom Krishna has loving relationships. And all the rasas, all the mellows of love are there. In that short mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So we're experiencing it in our japa. We're experiencing it in our congregational chantings like this. And somehow there's a special taste you get for the holy names when you go and give them to others. Because we say, Shri Nam Prabhu, Shri Nam. Prabhu means person. Dear, oh Prabhu, could you give me this? Prabhu, could you do that? Prabhu. So Prabhu, you're referring to a person. So the holy name is Krishna personified in sound. And if you want to get his blessings, then you serve him and you endear yourself to him. So when he hears us chanting his holy names rather softly in the morning, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Don't think he's not listening. Abhigana Swarat. Abhigana Swarat means that the Lord is present everywhere by his energies, which are not different from him. And because he's present everywhere, he's all-knowing. So if you're chanting his name, he's a beginner swara. He's present by his energies. And he's hearing. He's hearing your chanting. So he becomes, you become dear to him. Especially if you're chanting with some affection. My dear Lord, my dear energy of the Lord, Srimati Radharani, please lift me up from this ocean of death and fix me as an atom of your lotus feet in the spiritual world. If you're chanting like that, he's listening. And that's why the 10th offense, or rather the 11th offense of the holy name, is to be inattentive while you're chanting. Well, just take, for example, if you're speaking from someone and you're looking them straight in the eye, but if you just turn away and you're talking like this, and he'll say, hey, wait a minute, are you talking to me or what? So you have to be focused. Eke Kudamendana. So when we chant, as Madhava says, we chant from the heart. We're chanting to Krishna. We know he's listening. We're asking for his mercy. And he gets the beginning. Even if someone calls your name, you immediately take interest. Oh, Krishna Das. Yeah. Oh. And if someone calls you with love, oh, Krishna Das. Your wife or your husband. Yes. So you have to think of it like that. Krishna's all ears when you're chanting, but he's looking at the quality of your chanting. If you're actually, it's almost as if that's our time of the day for having a conversation with God. That little window of 2 hours, 2.5 hours, the world will by. Don't worry, it'll be exactly the same when you come out of your meditation, your samadhi. It'll probably be worse, but it's called yoga. But just let the world go by, And this is your conversation. Maybe it's a one-way conversation now, but when you become purified, Cheto, Dharpana, Marjana, it will be a two-way conversation. One time a disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, how do you know what all your thousands of disciples are doing at any time or any place in this world? How do you keep in touch with them? Only a few are writing letters. So how do you know what your disciples are doing? Prabhupada smiled and said, Krishna tells me. So don't think that's not possible. Never think that the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, all the wonderful things we hear about chanting the result, never think it's exaggeration. It cannot be exaggerated enough. It's all absolute truth, it's reality. And as we advance, that becomes clear to us. We know a little bit about Krishna consciousness, but what we don't know, we hear from our previous acharyas. Yashtadevi para bhaktir yatadevi tata guru. One who has faith in what he hears from the Guru, representing a great succession of Krishna as the Adi Guru. One who has faith in the words of the spiritual preceptor and the Shastra, the full purport of Vedic knowledge is revealed. So we never hear anything but the extraordinary glories of chanting Hare Krishna from the scriptures and from those saints, from those acharyas. So we should have faith like that it's all absolute truth, and as we chant, we progress, it'll become aware. So that's japa. Japa is your time. You made the reservation, and the door's open. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
and then
Hare.
you get mercy. Krishna's pleased. And then if you have congregational chanting, Krishna's even, you could say more, please. How is that? Because especially in this age, that is the recommended process. Krishna Varnam Pusha Krishnam Shankapanga Shiparshivam Yagnaya Sankatan Praya Yajantihi Shu Mayashaha. That in the age of Kali, the most, paraphrasing, simple and sublime way to become, awaken our dormant Krishna consciousness is through congregational chanting. Prior to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, the devotees were Babajis. Nowadays, sometimes the word Babaji doesn't have a good connotation, but we have Jagannath Das Babaji, we have Gorkashore Das Babaji. They were Babajis. Babaji just meant someone who left the routine way of life and went to Vrindavan or Mayapur or Puri and just chanted all day and studied scripture. It was honorable. But because of some misrepresentation in more recent times, it doesn't always have that connotation of Babaji. But it's a very exalted soul. So previously, there were Babajis, especially in Vrindavan, especially at Kamyavan outside, that was considered the original Vrindavan. It was a highly accepted and respected way of life to be a Babaji. And they were chanting Hare Krishna. Even in Dapura Yuga, they were chanting Hare Krishna. Even in Treta Yuga, even in Satya Yuga. You don't hear about it much because that wasn't the dharmic way to practice spiritual life, but the chanting Hare Krishna has been around since the beginning of time. And when Lord Chaitanya appeared, he rather introduced the congregational chanting for people of Kali Yuga. Not many people can be a renunciate and go to Surya Kund or Radha Kund. I have a few friends, they're there, they're doing well. But most people can't do that. But because the purpose of life is always the same, past, present, and future, we have to make spiritual progress. Krishna came. Krishna Varnam Pusha Krishna. He came. He who was bluish black like a monsoon cloud in Dapura Yuga has now appeared in Kali Yuga, in the mood along with the continents of Sri Radha. Tapta Kanchana Bhorange, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Krishna appeared in this mood of Radharani to understand Radharani's love for him, to deeper subject matter, but also to give the Yuga Dharma. And what was the Yuga Dharma? Babaji? No, but don't lose respect for them. But congregational chanting, coming together like this. This is the recommended process, coming. And how is that? Because in any group of devotees, in any temple, any assembly, you're going to find new devotees. Confucius said the longest journey begins with the first step. You're going to find intermediate devotees, and by Krishna's grace, that are often advanced devotees. And when you're chanting, you're hearing the chanting of all those devotees. Even to hear the chanting from someone who's not very advanced, it's still the holy name. To hear it from intermediate devotee, but to hear it from pure devotees, that's special. Prabhupada said this Maha Mantra is particularly potent when heard from the lips of a pure devotee. That's why we should all listen to Prabhupada's bhajanas as well. When I joined the movement, that was what was always, that sound was everywhere. Vandeham, Sri Guru, Sri Yuta, Badakamalam. I'd go to sleep, hear that, and I'd dream it almost, and I'd wake up, Prabhupada's bhajanas. We have our expert bhajan, we have our kirtaners, we love them. And they have their different styles and the music. But Prabhupada, he's a resident of the spiritual world. When he chants in prayer with love. And we just hear that, we become purified. So my point is that in every congregation, there's always someone more advanced. Someone's higher on the mountains. You might take shelter, then they're higher than you. And they go a little higher, you follow them a little higher. So it's like how we get back to the spiritual world. So then congregational chanting is really what's recommended. That really attracts the attention of Krishna. I sometimes use the analogy, there's some debate going on in some city council, the mayor's there, and his helpers are there, and they're discussing some issue, some sensitive issue, and one of the public, some person in the public, he doesn't agree. So he comes and he's standing outside the building, yelling at the open window, hey, you guys, you're all nonsense. But if there's an act of civil disobedience, 1,000 people come out, he's screaming, the mayor has to listen. So anyway, we're chanting ourselves, and yes, of course, as I mentioned, Krishna's listening, there's something there. But if we come all together, oh my Lord, we're entering to the Lord, Shrimati Radha, please pick me, please pick us up from this ocean of death and fix us here. The mayor, okay, bring in their representative, let's hear what they have to say. That's how it works. So that's one analogy of how congregational chanting. There's a lot of people chanting. There's some really pure voices there. So Krishna recipiates. You get some mercy. So Srinam means the conscious, holy names of the Lord. Fully conscious. Namachintamani Krishna. Kali Kali Nam Krishna Avatar. Krishna is there, present in the chanting. So Srinam Prabhu, he gives a lot of mercy because there's so many people appealing to him. How many times have I said to my disciples that when Prabhupada was asked, what does the Maha Mantra mean? One time he said, it means, my friend, my friend, my friend. Then you start calling out with affection if you think like that. That's not it. Krishna's our ever-wishing friend because a friend in need is a friend indeed. Ever since we left the spiritual world, he's been traveling from one body to the next with us in our hearts. Krishna's in the heart even of the ant, the spider. So he's our best friend. So when you're chanting, you can have a little, go from appreciation to the holy name, to affection for the holy name, to love for the holy name. I appreciate it, sounds good philosophy, you know? But you chant and you get some appreciation. Ah, it's working. Jeta, Darpa, and Marjana. And maybe one day when we chant, perfection of our chanting is a tear flow down our cheek like that. So it means Krishna's reciprocating. But you take Srinam to the people, He wants to go to the people because Krishna said he's the seed-giving father of all created beings. We're George Harrison. You're George Harrison. You're George Harrison said everyone's a devotee of Krishna. Some know it and some don't. That's paraphrasing Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita. He's the seed-giving father of all living entities. So everyone's forgetful. 99.9999% of the people are forgetful of that. So you take the holy name to the people, and because it's so potent, even though they may be fallen, just like Jagai and Madhai, the holy name is so powerful that it can awaken that, or it could ignite that spark of Krishna consciousness in their hearts. And so if you take the holy name to the streets, then the holy name blesses you infinitely. And Sankirtan devotees, now it's the Bhadra campaign. The Bhadra campaign. This is the month of Bhadra, and Bhadra Purnima means that the end of the month, the beginning or the end?
End.
The middle. If there's the full moon?
End.
It's the end, right?
The end, the full moon. If you distribute a Bhagavatam on the full moon month of Bhadra, you get a lot of kripa. I don't know the content, but a lot. So through the centuries, the Vaishnavas have taken the opportunity to distribute a Bhagavatam. So Vaisheshika Prabhu, our commander-in-chief of the Sankirtan movement, may not officially, but in my heart, he's commander-in-chief. He's ignited this fire of book distribution again in ISKCON. And besides the Christmas Marathon, there's the Bhadra campaign, where during the month of Bhadra, this is the month of Bhadra, it's usually like July, August. During this month, if you distribute Bhagavatam, you get so much mercy from the Lord. I think the goal is 68,000 steps. So you may want to consider that. That's the Brihat Vardanga. These are all, I'm using a lot of classic words today, sentences. This is the Brihat Vardanga. It's also chanting Hare Krishna. If someone participates in the Bhadra campaign, somehow or other, gets fired up and gets a couple sets of the Bhagavatams and distributes one or two to a friend or to somebody in the office. Oh, there's a lot of mercy there. A lot of mercy. So that sharing the holy name, like Jesus said, it's better to give than it is to receive. So if we're in that mood of chanting Hare Krishna to the people, for the people, and that's what we experience on our festival programs. My greatest joy in life, because I'm an aspiring devotee, I have not realized Krishna, but I like to see Krishna's plan unfold for his pleasure. So in our festivals, generally we have a big arena, tents, and a huge stage, and billowing incense, and questions and answers, and teaching cooking, and the stars, and the gopi ghats, and the this and the that. The people walk in, it's like they're amazed. The smells, the sights, the scents, the touches. We're engaging all their senses in spiritual life. That's the thing. That's what a festival is. All the senses, look, see, hear, touch, it's all spiritual. They immediately feel that atmosphere. And by the time they leave, I'm not exaggerating, because the girls get to keep the stars. They're actually saying on the way out, do I really get to keep it? Do I really get to keep it? And then the gopi ghats, and they have the books, and they have the experience, and their tummies are full of prasada. My favorite thing is to sit at the exit and just watch all these transformed people. They're transformed. They've got the bug. They've got the transcendental COVID, and they got it. They don't know how they got it, and there's no immunization against it. You can't get a vaccine. It'll stop Krishna consciousness. It just gets better and better and better. So we want to do that in London.
Haribo.
I have many offers. Italia, pure italiano. Siamo in missione, viaggiamo al mondo, nelle scuole, a Parigi, per give the money for the bambinas. Spain invited us, en France, the Consulate aussi, and America. But there's just something about London. I got the London bug. Although Prabhupada said London's hell. Remember? They asked Prabhupada, he just came bright to the airport. What do you think about London is hell? Can we print that? Yes, you can print it. But I've been coming here, since the beginning of my career in Krishna consciousness. Some of the personal instructions I got from Srila Prabhupada were set in the very place. That's what he told me. So you preach boldly, you have faith in the holy names. Slapped me on the back one time and said, so much endeavor in this material world, but when I take you back to Godhead, everything will be easy and sublime. So naturally there's some affection because this is where those instructions which are really set in stone in my stone-like heart, and you etch something in stone. So in the stone-like heart, those instructions, they were given in Seminary place. And all the kirtans we had with Tribhunath Prabhu in the old days, we'd go down the street, Oxford Street, we'd go to Piccadilly, I remember it was playing, never done like this. Interesting way of playing your mouth. Hare Krishna, that was fun. Those are the days. It wasn't far away from the times of the Beatles and all the 60s music and, that era which I was unfortunate enough to go into when I was a teenager. It was all kind of historic in England had. So there in the beginning of the movement and Prabhupada speaking in Bury Place and being there for those lectures and everything. So there's and I have so many disciples here now. I thought they would certainly cooperate with me if they wanted to do festivals in London. Yes? Everyone can have something to do. I mean, we have our set program, we have our theaters, our professional, very devotional, but if we do come, then we will need a lot of help from the locals, all the locals. And we're just kind of like figuring out how to do it now. We met the management at Bhaktivedanta Manor, Shaka, all that team out there. We met the management of Soho Street and different patron members and this and that. And it all looks like a green light. But of course it's a mammoth effort and it's going to take a year to put it together. If you really want to do something proper, you want to come in to do something big, you can't just walk in on the scene. Of course, we can walk in anywhere and have a kirtan. That is the festival itself. That's a lot. That says a lot. It says everything about Krishna consciousness. But if we want to do it proper, we're planning for next September. We're just beginning this September. It'll be a year from now. Booking different venues and halls. We went to that Riverside. I think probably most of you know Riverside is the place where a lot of the theater goes on. And one devotee, Mr. Anil Agarwal, he purchased that building and his people are managing it. And he gave an indication we could do our shows there. It's a very prestigious, almost like West End. Almost. So we can come in very quickly. Like the snake comes in and has the nice house of the mouse. So he comes in, eats the mouse and lives in his house. So we don't have to come in and start from scratch and find a new place and spend so much money on it, not sure if it's going to work. So as if Krishna set the whole thing, you have to walk in like the snake, and here it is. This beautiful, we went there, Riverside, all top professional stuff. And the atmosphere in which you do this is all very important. Just like when Krishna came on schedule in Dwapara Yuga, I said, will you please come? She said, only if you bring the Yamuna River, Govardhan Hill, and Florence and Vrindavan. Because the atmosphere is very much important for your consciousness. So to do these theaters that we've been working on for 35 years, we need a very high-tech, professional atmosphere. And it's there at Riverside. I was really impressed. So we can do a couple weeks there, other festivals that you have, Liverpool, Birmingham, what are their towns?
Brighton,
Scotland.
Glastonbury.
It's unlimited, and then also you can learn. You can learn, like Big Brothers were coming in with something that we perfected almost. You can learn and replicate it. And we also want to take it to Bharat, Jai Hind. We want to go back to India and help revive this Vedic culture, this Krishna conscious culture. So when we come in, we're like the dancing white elephants. That's what I want to use that slogan, the dancing white elephants, a sign of royalty, white elephant. So after we leave here, we're going to go, I'm going to Germany for a few weeks, and then I'm going to a few other places, and then India. We'll have Kartik. We're going to go to get ready to do our festivals in India. We need some special spiritual purification and kripa and mercy. We're going to Mayapur for 10 days. We're going to Kolkata. Why are you going to Kolkata? Because that's Prabhupada's birthplace. And he went to school there. And he fell in love with Radha Govinda, those beautiful deities with their eyes and all like that. And also, while in Calcutta, we want to go to Bhakti Bhavan. Bhakti Bhavan is the original house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had many places of residence, in Navadvip, in Puri when he was magistrate, in Vrindavan, he had in Radhakund, he had a home there as well. But his main place of residence was in Calcutta. And when he was having that home built sometime in the 1800s, he was present when they were digging the earth for the foundation. And while they were digging the earth, deep down, they found a Shalagram Shila. What? Who knows the history of Bharat and India? It's just, if we could see it, it would make the best motion picture ever. You could just watch it for hundreds of thousands of years. But while they found a Shalagram Shila, a Kurma Shalagram Shila. You can tell which personality is a Shalagram by the way they form and the various lines. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, this is Kurma. And he worshipped that Shila. And when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was 14, he gave him that Shila to worship, along with a special Nishringa mantra to protect him in his future preaching. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati worshipped that Shila for, I don't know, maybe his whole life, I don't know. But so in that house as it stands now, it's kind of dilapidated, are living the great, is there one more great? I don't know. Granddaughter of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and her daughter. They look just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Kind of big and that same round face. I was shocked because we were in the process of trying to get that temple because many Gundas wanted to get it to build. It's in a red light district, unfortunately. They want to build some house, and we'll go into detail. So they were going to tear it down. So one of our devotees, Bhadaramanji, disciple of Japataka Maharaj, he went to hell and back to get that property. The Gundas used to fight with him and beat him. But he persevered. And he got the paper, the great-great-granddaughter agreed to give it over to ISKCON because she felt ISKCON would take care of that property. So the day came, the court paper was to be signed. I happened to be in Calcutta. And our Raman said, you can come along. So we went, it was historic. And I got to sign that as a witness that this house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is being given over to ISKCON. But I kept eyeing those Shilas. There's the Shalagram Shila, and next to it is a Govardhan Shila that was worshipped by Jagannath Das Babaji. He used to wear it around his neck. And there's a deity, a black stone deity of Krishna that his descendants, they called Madhava. So I'm pretty convinced that is the Madhava, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunji Bihari, Gopitana Malama, Giravardhara. That I believe that's the deity for which Bhaktivinoda compared that made that song. He said, in that song, all of Vrindavan is there. Everything Vrindavan, everything Braj is in that song. There's that deity. So I sat there staring at the deity, and next to it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhagavad Gita. It wasn't the one that he did, it was one that he felt that was authorized, and it was just falling apart, crumbling. There was the chair you see in the photo. There's a photo of him in a chair with a bookcase next to him. It's an old photo, it's been printed many times. I saw the bookcase, I saw the chair. I saw all the stone paraphernalia he would eat with, and plates and cups. It was all there. It was all dusty, kind of, no one had touched it in so long. So I'm sitting in front of the deities, I think, oh my gosh, OMG, oh my God, oh my gosh. I'm sitting in front of history here, it's living history. So then after we signed the paper, he said they're going to take some months or whatever to renovate the place, like Ottananga, one of the temples of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. ISKCON put that place back together as well. It's very beautiful. So they're going to do this to Bhaktivinoda. So I said, can I worship those deities? Can you let me do one puja? He said, later. But then we talked the other day, and we're going there. What are we going to talk?
On October 20.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to Bhaktivinoda, and I get to worship at Kurma Shila, that Govardhan Shila, Jagannath Babaji, and that deity of Madhava. I can't live shaking even thinking about it. So amazing. So we're going to go there. Mayapur, we're going to do Kartik in Mayapur, and then all the holy places associated with Prabhupada in Kolkata, and then we're going to go to Jagannath Puri. Hardas Thakur Samadhi, that's Saptarishi Marg. Saptarishi Marg is not far from Hardas Thakur Samadhi. It means that the road of the seven rishis. And all those rishis had different temples. You can go and see their deities. And it's just amazing. And then there's Hardas Thakur, where he chanted Japasita Bakul. We're going to take our team there. We're going to bathe in the ocean. Because Mahaprabhu, when Hardas Thakur left, we buried him in the sand. And before that, he placed his body in the water. So that's considered a transcendental waters, like Radhakund or Shamakund. And it's also fun to swim there. We had about, how many devotees now? 250? 300, yeah. So if you'd like to join us for the parikama of a lifetime, and you can also see the Kurma Shila, and you can also see the Govardhan Shila and Madhavan. You can see where Prabhupada appeared as a jackfruit tree. The descendant of the jackfruit tree is still there. That place is really amazing. We had kirtan there I was there with Vaisheshika, his group and my group. And we went to Scottish Church, what do you call it? Scottish Church College, yeah. And it's still there. There's still students going there. That's where Prabhupada went to school, and where they live, where Prabhupada lived. It's kind of an apartment building. We also went there. So if you can't come, you can follow us on Instagram, instantly. We'll put that up, and we'll do some videos, and we'll do some diary chapters, etc., etc. And then after that, we are taking this festival, the essence of our festival, to all these different theaters in India. It's going to be really exciting. We have a contemporary play called A Song of Grace. We have a Ramayan. We have a few. So we'll be back in India, and we'll revitalize Krishna conscious culture through those festivals. So, yeah. That's my lecture today. Keeping you updated. So we started with kirtan, and we'll finish with kirtan. And tomorrow, is it tomorrow? They've asked me to do class at Bhaktivinoda Swami, but we'll have a long kirtan. we'll trick them. One time at the manor, I forget who was in charge. I think Kundalini. It's my way back. Kundalini was the temple president before many people were born. And he asked me to lead the Guru Puja, to sing. So Govinda Maharaj was going to play drums. So you know the manner, they're really strict. Everything has to be on time. You can't do 1 second over like that. That was especially true back then. So I started, the Guru Puja singing, and it went a little bit after the conch had been blown, because the kirtan was getting, Govinda Maharaj playing to Govinda Maharaj. So that was what, 7:30 or something, 7:45. To make a long story short, we went on till 11 o'clock in the morning. There was no class, there was no prasadam. The devotees were flying like they had wings through the room. The Kundalini was over by Prabhupada's vyasana. And afterwards he called me up and said, Maharaj, what about the Srimad Bhagavatam class? I said, Prabhu, that kirtan was my class. He wanted me to get class that morning. Holy name, holy name, holy name. So I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow. But yeah, and then Monday we really, but we'll be back. We definitely can say we're going to be back, and we're encouraging all of you as the plan becomes more solidified and clear. You please chip in any way that you can. If you're rich, not many of my disciples are rich here, but if not, you can help with the advertising, the publication, the cooking. There'll be so many things to do, but it'll really be fun all to work together, right? These are the golden days when we can all be present together and push on the Sankirtan movement. Especially now when the world is really needing it more than ever. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And the Harinams down Oxford Street, people are going to close the stores and come out and follow us. It's going to be so nice. So we have a lot, as always, we have a lot to look forward to in Krishna consciousness. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Upringan, Harinam, and Kirtan.
Jai.
Sri Krishna,
Hare Hare
we'll see some of you tomorrow morning for the Srimad Bhagavatam class in Bhakti Vedanta Manor. Thank you, Hare Krishna.